Well, now let's move into our major story of the day. Lawyers, political analysts have said it several times on this show. Now, Senate President Bukola Saraki is reiterating it. The Senate President says the proscription and declaration of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, as a terrorist organization is illegal. And this is from his statement, and I quote what he says now. I also wish to state that the announcement of the proscription of the group known as Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, by governors of the Southeast states and the categorization of the group as a terrorist organization by the Nigerian military are unconstitutional and does not follow due process. Well, Senator Saraki's stance opposes that of the governors of the region and the country's military on the matter. And to those saying that the declaration made by the military is not constitutional, and those questioning the operation of the military in the Southeast region, it seems now that the debate is getting more and more intense. Well, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has a message for them. He said that the Army is not under any form of threat to leave the region. General Buratai announced that the Nigerian Army will launch a special exercise across the country to maintain peace and security. The military chief also made it clear that only the federal government holds the jurisdiction to declare the IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu wanted. Well, now, speaking of Nnamdi Kanu, where is he? Not much has been heard of him since his group was declared a terrorist organization, which in turn has restored some level of calmness to the region. Today, his group released a statement saying they will bounce back. The group said they are not backing down on their fight for an independent Biafra nation. According to them, no amount of intimidation would make them surrender their fight. And here are some questions we will attempt to answer tonight on the program. Could the Senate President Bukola Saraki be speaking on behalf of the Senate? By bouncing back, is IPOB coming rebranded, adopting a different approach, or operating under a tag enemy of the state? As it is right now, we have had lawmakers, law enforcers. Let's continue getting interpretations. Joining us from our Abuja studio is a lawyer and second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Onyekachi Ubani. And joining also on the program tonight from the United Kingdom is a political analyst, Kayode Ogundamisi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Let's begin with the lawyer on the program tonight, because what the Senate President raised here is a matter of the law, perhaps not in the purview of the security exigency. Let me start by asking you, within the frame of our law, what exactly is the illegality that the Senate President is talking about, that he said the military has committed here?
Well, I think what the Senate President is trying to say is that, look, there is a law that defines what constitutes terrorism in Nigeria, and that is the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011, and I think there was an amendment of that act in 2013. That act in Section 1, subsection 3, actually defines all the things that will make any organization in Nigeria to be a terrorist organization. It gave all the graphic explanation and definition of any organization that is engaged in all the acts that are actually defined by that act to be a terrorist act. And also, the act itself provided a procedure for any organization to be dubbed a terrorist organization or to be proscribed by any agency. And so if you do not in any way follow the procedure that the law itself has outlined for you now to proscribe that organization, then that act will be regarded as illegal, not in accordance with the law. Neither the military command nor the governors of, or the governor of any state has any right under the law as presently constituted to call any organization a terrorist organization, because the act itself set out the persons authorized by that act and the procedure they have to follow. It's a judicial process, actually. It is either the Attorney General of the Federation or the National Security Advisor or the IGP, that is the Inspector General of Police, with the approval of the president, that can bring an application to a federal high court judge. And that means that application will be taken in chambers. It means it will be taken ex parte. And then it's when you now present all that evidence, I have said, of those acts that constitute a terrorist act before the court. It's a matter of evidence. The court will look at those, whatever you have presented, and then goes ahead to make a pronouncement, after which that particular pronouncement of the court will be published in a gazette, in an official gazette, or in 2 national newspapers, or in any other forum or fora that the court will prescribe. It's only when you have complied with that that you can now say that that particular organization is proscribed in accordance with the law. And why that law is made is this particular organization that has been proscribed has a right of bringing a further application before the court and saying, no, the information that was given to you as a judge was wrong. We are not an illegal organization. We are not a terrorist organization. And look at the evidence to show that we are not. The court can also look at that evidence presented by that organization and reverse itself. But when an organization that is not authorized under the law goes ahead now to proscribe that organization and pronounce it illegal or a terrorist organization, to which group are you going to go for a reversal of that order if there is no truth in whatever they have presented or whatever they have said? And so that is the danger in allowing any other body not authorized by law to proscribe an organization.
Let me quickly go to Kayode Ogunamisi. We heard the federal government come out yesterday to say they've discovered that those sponsoring IPOB are those they call coalition of political, treasury looters. You were a former, at a point in the history of this country, you were a former member of the Odua People's Congress, OPC, and there were a lot of controversies around that organization too. As it stands right now, in the issue of security on one hand and the legality of these of the action of the military, what do you make of the military's decision?
First, thank you, Sharon. I want to say that everyone who knows where I stand, I oppose the ideology of IPOB. I oppose the fascist method in which IPOB is using to pursue its goals. And I've always equated Nnamdi Kanu to Hitler in Germany, who, of course, was a sergeant in the German army, but was able to mobilize a mass of angry people. Having said that, I do not think the Minister of Information is right to say people who are sponsoring IPOB are politicians who are frustrated. It's just like going back to the days when the PDP also said the people sponsoring Boko Haram were politicians. In as much as I disagree with IPOB and their methods and their methodology, we have always insisted on this issue of true federalism. I was the founding Secretary General of the OPC, and these are the issues that were raised on OPC. And why do I oppose the methods of IPOB today? Because as Secretary General of OPC, I saw how fruitless it was from my experience to lead young men and women to untimely death, thinking you can challenge the muscles of the state without going through peaceful process. I was involved in burying endless number of young people, young men and women, who of course believed in true federalism, but also believed that they could face the might of the federal government by resorting into violence. And today, the OPC stands on a reform because those of us who said there was a need for a peaceful alternative to agitations at the day. Regarding the military declaring IPOB as a terrorist unit, I think it's the interpretation, whatever our opinion, including the opinion of the Senate President, should be taken to court and tested in court. Let me tell you who tested this. Asari Dokubo. In 2007, there was a case between Asari Dokubo and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, testing the legality of the Federal Republic of Nigeria declaring Dokubo a terrorist. And the Supreme Court gave a verdict. So whatever opinion is of the lawyer in the studio in Abuja, or the Senate President, or myself, let us test this democracy. Let lawyers go to court and see whether the federal government has done right, whether the President and Commander-in-Chief has got the power to send troops to a region where Hausas have been declared almost non-grata, mosques were burnt, policemen are being killed, and a young man has declared a republic independent of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
But if you look at the situation and perhaps this, the process of declaring this kind of group a terrorist organization or prescribing it, if you look at it, and if you have, if you, for example, are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, would you do the same?
Well, you see, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces is responsible for all Nigerians. It is a huge irony, Sheun, that today, all these so-called new human rights activists, the so-called Senate president, Ekwere Madu, the deputy Senate president, they forgot the rights of those Nigerians that were being threatened by this young man. They forgot the rights of Nigerians who live in the southeast, whose properties had been looted. They forgot the rights and privilege of Nigerians who were told by Nnamdi Kanu, pastors in Lagos. Kumuyi was told never to come to the southeast. They kept quiet. But for Operation Python, people now see that war is not a tea party. The president and commander-in-chief, no matter whatever you have against him, has the right to protect all Nigerians.
All right.
He has the right to protect both Igbo'S and non-Igbo'S.
Kaude, we need to take a breather. But when we come back on the program, we dig deeper into this matter. Look at the law, look at the decision of the military, and the point where the federal government is, of course, the decision and the statement of the Senate president. That's after now. Join us again, everyone.